Hello, Broderick Wallace here. I am currently at the Stones, facing west, and it's a lovely, peaceful night, not too cold, and just said a few words, and it's very much on my mind, this winter solstice coming up. Obviously my good friend Samuel Connor always joins me, and we more feel than see the sunrise, as it's usually quite foggy. We're hoping one year we'll be lucky and there'll be just a clear sky, but hasn't happened yet. And anyway, obviously we have this conjunction coming up on the winter solstice, 21st of December 2020, of Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius. Now this, just to be selfish for a moment, this has special resonance with me being an Aquarius, and going back to the universal, if you like. Many people in the occult world are viewing this as a kind of sign for the true beginning, the dawning of the age of Aquarius. And I'm one of those people, because we're never going to have an exact moment. They fade in and out, right? So within the school that I belong to, we are considering this conjunction to be the beginning, and I think many people will agree, especially in terms of 2020 being pretty ridiculous and pretty difficult. And God knows I've experienced many difficulties and many blessings in parallel this year. It's been almost unbelievable. Someone had told me a few years back, I would have found it hard to believe. And but here we are. Many opportunities, and yet many frustrations and much loss in order to create something new. One must go through the dark night of the soul and let go of certain attachments, and it doesn't stop the pain lingering about. And these are very odd times, and there's a lot of I'll tell you, let's set this up by saying the world has always been bloody awful for a lot of people, and even believing in fate and destiny and all that kind of thing, I kind of see it that those forces are working in parallel with sheer chance and chaos. So we have to align ourselves with that feeling of destiny, and try and seize the day and keep that in mind, whilst at the same time understanding that anything could happen, but it's best not to dwell on that fact. Which also means that we have the power to change our lives and the lives of other people around us, perhaps even more importantly. I'm a pretty individualistic kind of person, yet I belong to a school, and this is helping me it's helping restore my faith in humanity to a certain degree, but I will always remain, a little bit of a misanthropic character. I don't think that's ever going to change. But I, like to contribute, and I enjoy having good people around me, and I enjoy good conversation. But over the years, there hasn't been a lot of that. I'll be honest with you. And some might say that it was my fault. Who knows? Who cares? But it will all make sense eventually. Looking up at the stars now, fairly cloudy sky. There's a few shining through, and yes, so this new age, this dawning of a new age, the age of Aquarius. As we know, if one was to Google the precession of the equinoxes, one would find out that we have this kind of roughly, to memory, 26,000 year cycle with 2,160 years for each astrological sign. And these signs take on their rulership, if you like, when they rise on the vernal equinox. Obviously that will be the sign that is behind the sun as it rises on that morning, on that day each year for roughly 2,160 years. And then when we look back through history, we can see that there is a certain amount of evidence to suggest that the ancients embodied these astrological ages symbolically in the art and culture of the time. That's debatable, but it's quite convincing. And with the amount of astronomical knowledge that is so glaringly obvious, coming down to us from the past, in terms of archaeoastronomy, that kind of research. A lot of the alternative research, but the good stuff at the top, not all the nutters who cling around somewhere around the edge, trying to look all clever on YouTube and writing a book that don't make sense, which is mostly other people's ideas. I'm not talking about that, but there's always, with everything, there's always the 1% which is great, and then the 99% which is not really worth anyone's time, unfortunately. Same with music, I love heavy metal, but I have to admit that 99% of it is boring. And call me an elitist or whatever. It doesn't matter, because I try and keep my heart in a good place, but I live in this world, and but there is now a feeling, since there is a firm focus on ability over tradition in the school that I belong to, and by extension, and even previously within my own efforts, there is an attitude towards perennial universality. Now, if we look at the qualities of Aquarius, that kind of airy, thoughtful, a firm emphasis on fairness, but with a kind of almost perverse eccentricity. Does that sound like the modern world that is coming into being? Oh, it's bang on. It's bang on. This is happening. Now, I don't believe in iconoclasm, even for certain things that I'm not particularly inspired by, Put it this way, I know that there is a truth beyond all truths, but there is a duality, if you like, whereby these forms still exist within the collective unconscious. So everything that we've built up through religions and spiritual practice and the dreams of all humanity going back to the dawn of time, it might be slumbering a bit these days, but it's trying to wake up. And the internet, even though it's part of that dog world, and it's zapping your attention and making a lot of people dumber, it's making a certain amount of people cleverer, because we have access to good information if we're discerning in the correct manner and keep our wits about us. So the way I see it is that there's a new opportunity for universality in that perennial attitude, but without throwing away the old forms, because that would be, it's a little bit Protestant, isn't it? It's a little bit, well, it's kind of Abrahamic, isn't it? Chuck it all out. This is new. This is it. One God. Don't worry yourself about any complexities or details. No, I'm not up for that. Not by a long shot. Now, as a kind of pagan guy, whose practice is rooted in the Hermetic, because it's the only thing that's kind of universal enough and intact in terms of the route that I'm traveling down, and something new is happening, something that's pretty special actually, something that existed in the past has been expressed again in the world through a genius who was sadly taken from us, and then these writings, as much as we were left, are being perfected by another master in the modern age, and that's wonderful, and that's good for some of us. Put it this way, there is a way that you can let me think of the best way to put this. With all this super individualistic kind of attitude, people living their lives through photographs, is kind of freaky. And I want what I want, and it can get ridiculous because everything's so new and so quickly. There isn't really time to adjust, and there's nothing wrong with paying respects and following. There's nothing wrong with submission when it's done wisely, with one's wits about one. Right? So no man is an island and all that kind of thing. You can still retain your individuality and at the same time pay your respects to the past, everything that came before, and people who are just better than you at things that you want to be good at. And it's all about cooperation, and that sense of cooperation is very pertinent to this new vibe that's coming about, this new age. And God knows, look, if you look back through history, it's always been, life's been hell for most people, to be honest. I mean, I say hell, it's been difficult, right? Even in those cultures, in those particular time periods where something genius was expressed or something beautiful took root, it still wasn't grasped by everyone, although these days it's more that sense of we're all so connected, we have so many options, and our attention is distracted, and there's no sense of togetherness. You see, when you embrace the universal completely, you kind of sit there scratching your head like, so you still need to root yourself somewhere. You still need these signs, these symbols. And going along this route, I guess, what I want to come to is the notion of a dialogue with the stars and the planets under this new rulership. How will this be expressed exactly? These two planets, these are two pretty powerful planets to come into conjunction with each other. That expansiveness and kingship of Jupiter, and the kind of retractive, restrictive and pensive qualities of Saturn, balancing each other out within the sign of Aquarius, which is obviously ruled by Saturn, and also Uranus if you're taking on full modern astrology, hence the eccentric aspect. As well as through the universal and the perennial, seeing the old gods in a new way, being able to stand above the dogmatic and the the dead ends of tradition and taking what we want in that very kind of eclectic fashion. Also, there are new gods waiting to be born, but also, more importantly to me, there are old gods who have been neglected for a long time, who are calling out to be revivified. Anyway, 21st of December this year, 2020. Let's make it sacred. Okay, take care.